Sometimes the simplest drawings tell the biggest stories. With Canva's stick figure animations, you can turn basic shapes and lines into powerful characters full of life, humor, and personality. Whether you're explaining a concept or sharing a personal story, these stick figures are your blank canvas, ready to act, move, and bring your ideas to life. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to take Canva's elements as well as their animation tools and turn them into a storytelling powerhouse. The first thing that you need to figure out when you're making these types of videos is what your idea is going to be. Once you have that idea, come up with your own script, or you can always ChatGPT it, however you want to make your idea come to life. For the video you just saw, I just went into ChatGPT, told it to make me just a motivational speech, a generalized motivational speech just for demonstration purposes. I did make it a little shorter, made sure that it's more high energy so it's more engaging, and this is what it came up with. Now from here, if you like your own voice, record your voice lines yourself. If you don't, you can always go into something like 11 Labs and have it do it for you. For me, I just use the voice recorder on my computer. So when I click record, I can speak into it using my ChatGPT prompt and tell it the story. And when I have that done, I'll show you how to input it into Canva. Once you have your voice recording, you're going to drop it into your timeline. However, now it's only going to say 5 seconds, which as you'll see, when you go about doing your video, you're going to create many videos with animations. So you're going to have a lot of presentation tabs. So that 5-second video is going to increase and increase with each animation. And you're going to sync your video with your speech. In my first 5 seconds of the audio, every dreamer hears it sooner or later. I'm talking about a dreamer. So what I want to do, since this is a stick figure animation, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to type in dream stick figure. There are a couple of people that do make stick figures on Canva that you can use, right? So if you see a style that you like, let's say I'm going with this one, right? I can actually see all the things that he makes. So I can actually pick from a whole list of stick figures that are in the same style, which is pretty awesome. So when I have this, right, and I can even just click on this guy's name and type in dream. And when I do that, I'll get a whole bunch of different ones that he's created under the dream tag. So I'm going to pop this one in. And again, this is an animation. So when I have this one here, I can time it to exactly when I want it to appear. And then I can keep going with a new animation, or I can add to this. So if I had this and it said, every dreamer hears it sooner or later, right? So I can have him fade into the left and I can always animate this. I can always modify it, right? So if I have this flicker animation, I can come over here and I can actually edit exactly to the, so now that I have my two editing points, right, I have this guy yelling at a dreamer, what I said, every dreamer hears it sooner or later, right? I have this guy dreaming over here and this guy about to say something to him. And when I preview this, this is what it'll look like. Hears it sooner or later, right? And I have it flickering to make it look like he's yelling at him something, right? So now I can go to the next tab and extend my voice out a little bit more and see what the next 5 seconds will look like. And I can always make it 3 seconds or even 1 second. I think half a second is as short as it'll go. I can make the animation a different length of time, depending on what I want to demonstrate to the audience. So the next 5 seconds sounds like this. Think about it, right? I can then go up here to animate and I can, again, add in an animation so it's not static. And what's cool is if I go to this button right here, the configure button, and what is cool when I click on here, I can actually see and preview what the animation is going to look like. I'm going to do this for all of my presentation, and then I'll come back when how to add the sound effects so that it makes it all cohesive. So now that I have a completed video with animations and my voiceover, I'm not quite done yet. What I'm going to do now is add the music and the sound effects. And you can do that right in Canva. If you go to the audio tab, they have all of this music that you can then use. If you're trying to do this for like a YouTube video, it might be copyrighted, so you got to check that. So for this purpose, I'm actually going to use copyright for music, so that way you guys can see it and hear it with the music. Otherwise, it'll sound pretty janky. So what I'm going to do is get some copyright for music and put it into here. But you have this entire selection. So you have Michael Bublé if you want. You have the Orange Music Factory. And you can look up just different kinds of tutorial music or motivational music, right? And anything in between. You can look up everything from Canva. If you're trying to do this for monetary purposes or sharing something on a website that's not going to allow you to use copyrighted music, I like to use Pixabay because it literally says royalty-free music, but you can also use YouTube Studio. Some of CapCut, but I know a lot of CapCuts is also copyrighted, so you got to be careful with that. So what I'm just going to look up is I'm going to look up motivational music, and I have all of these tracks to choose from, right? So I have this one. I want something a little bit more upbeat. I said upbeat. That one does sound very corporate. That's a very apt tag. So once you pick yours, I kind of actually like this second to last one that I just did. I'm going to bring this into Canva. Again, you can use any of Canva's actual music, but since I want to show you guys what it's like, I'm going to upload it into Canva, make sure that it's uploaded correctly. As you can see, it is going. And once it's uploaded, I can just drag it underneath my audio, make sure that it doesn't actually cover it because that would be unfortunate. And what it's automatically going to do, it's going to sync to the last presentation slide. So again, I'm going to shorten the presentation slide so that it matches the audio. And as you can see, that was way too loud. So what I can do is click into the audio, and I have the volume button. So I'm just going to lower this quite a bit. I just want it to be background music, not take up my voice. I'm saying that you can't do it, but they don't know the fire. And you can hear it like that. I can always adjust it to how I want it. I want it at a 10 in your heart. And that's good for me. Now that I have my audio and I have my recording, now what I can do is go back into audio. And this doesn't just have music, but I can also look up some sound effects. So if I come in here, I just want sound effect. Now I can look up different effects. So if I have this person screaming, so I can have an angry mob shouting. So now I can put this over here. I can adjust how loud I want it to be, if I don't want it to be too loud, or if I want it to be really loud. And what's cool about Canva is I can actually just balance all the sound all together, but I don't really want to do that right now because the music needs to be lower. So now what I have is this. Every dreamer hears it soon. I can make this a little bit lower, right? I can adjust it to how I need it to. Sooner or later. Be realistic. And now if I'm thinking about something, right, I can type in think. Not sponsored, but Pixabay is an excellent royalty-free website if you need some sound effects. So I kind of like this one. I'm not going to use the second part. I'm just going to use that first part. So I can download it. I can bring it into Canva. And again, I want a different layer because I'm not going to interfere with the mob shouting. And I can adjust it to however I want. Make sure that it's on sync. So this isn't the most time-consuming part. This isn't a end-all, be-all, one-click kind of one-and-done thing. I am trying to sync it to the beat, make sure that it's appropriate, make sure that it's not too loud, not too soft. Maybe if I go to audio and type in whoosh, and make sure that it's just effects. I can add an audio. I just clicked it, and it put it in right where I wanted it to be, which is kind of cool. Sometimes that works, sometimes it'll overlap. So if you have more than one sound, or if you have more than one presentation slide and audio slide on one thing, sometimes it gets a little bit confused. This time I just clicked on the sound and it actually went to exactly where I wanted it to be, which is pretty awesome. So I can move this around over here. Smartphone. You can edit this as much as you want, as little as you want. This is just the sound effects. You already did the most important parts. You added the music so there's no blank spaces. You added obviously the audio, you put in the transitions. The sound effects is kind of just the icing on the cake, right? The cherry on top. I'm gonna stop there. If I was gonna actually try to put this and put in my best effort, I would do it for the rest of this. But that's how you make this animation. So when you're all done, I'm gonna go to preview, and this is what it'll look like. Every dreamer hears it sooner or later. Be realistic. But think about it. Every great thing we admire today was once unrealistic. Airplanes, smartphones, walking on the moon. Someone made them real because they refused to listen to doubt. Chasing your dream isn't easy. It's like climbing a mountain in the dark. You'll stumble, you'll question yourself, and you'll hear people saying that you can't do it. But they don't know the fire in your heart. And that fire is your compass. The question is, will you stop? Or will you keep going? Every step counts. Every risk matters. Your dream was given to you for a reason. Don't just dream, run after it. Fight for it, because in the end, it's better to try and fail than to spend your life wondering, what if I had tried? The last thing that you can do if you really want to is actually add in some text bubbles, right? So in here, if you wanted to actually put something that this guy is saying, you can do that as well. If you want to add some text to maybe the compass, right? So it says north, south, east, and west, right? You could really just do that with anything. You can just keep pushing it and pushing it. But this is just a tutorial. It's just a baseline. So if you like this video and you want to see more, make sure you comment down below what you want to see more of so that I know what to make in the future for you guys. If you like this, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like the video. But other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.